What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning into the channel. Something I haven't done in a while is let y'all know that I am in fact on Instagram. It used to be when I first started this channel that most of the people watching the channel were from following me on Instagram. But I do a lot of photography over there, and you get a little bit of a behind the scenes look at some of the rifles and the pistols and optics and kind of stuff I've got going on the channel. Do really well at responding to DMs over there, and it's just really cool opportunity if you do want to follow me over there to just make sure you're a part of all the things going on. I'll have that link down in the description. What we're talking about today is the reason you clicked on this video. We're talking about the Sightmark Wraith Thermal. Before we get started, just a little bit of the disclaimer. Sightmark did send this optic out. They're not paying me for anything. I get no discounts, or I don't get any kickback if you buy them. Don't get any sort of insider discounts on their products, nothing like that. But they did send me this optic. Apparently this year just is the thermal year for me. This is the third thermal optic that we've had on the channel. Started off with the D&T Hydra 384, went to the One Leaf something, and now we've got the Sightmark Wraith. So they're all pretty competitive when it comes to price points, so I think it's a good option for you to look at, and hopefully I can help steer your purchasing decision in this video. I do want to make mention of Barrel and Hatchet. Eric over there just now done a video on this particular thermal. He goes into a lot more depth and detail than I probably will in this video on the optic, as well as thermal use in warfare and fighting. So I would highly recommend going and watching that, and I will try to link that somewhere up here. But I'm sure that if you're watching this video, you know who Barrel and Hatchet is and all that they do over there. Great people, great channel, love everything they're doing. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the Wraith Thermal. So it is, again, from Sightmark. It is a 384 resolution unit. So what 384 is kind of your first step into getting to the better looking thermal as far as the resolution that you see in the display on the inside of the optic. Because what these are is basically a camera. You're looking at an LED screen or an OLED display. I forget what they call it, but you're looking at a screen inside of the optic. So the higher the resolution number, the better your sight picture is going to be. You get more pixels in there. What that's going to mean is that you can zoom in more, and it's going to be less pixelated. 384 is usable if you're taking close shots, but you're not going to get great detail. You know, you're going to be able to tell, say, a horse from a dog from a person, but on those further shots, you know, telling a big pig from a cow or the neighbor's dog from a coyote, I don't know that's going to necessarily be the case just with the limitations of 384. But for what I do, 384 is sufficient enough. I do prefer like a 640, and then you can even go up a step above that to like a 10 something. 640 is what I'm running now on the thermal that I primarily use, but 384, nothing to laugh at. It'll get the job done. Inside this optic, you have got a 40 millikelvin sensor. What that is like the sensitivity of the temperature that is able to pick up. Most charts say 50 or below, so millikelvin. So whereas megapixels or the resolution, you want higher number, on the millikelvin you want a lower number. Most charts say like 50 and below is scraping the surface on like a good millikelvin rating. This has got a 40. I prefer a 20 or better, but that's just going to allow me to be able to have more contrast in the temperatures of things. So for scanning and kind of getting a grasp of my surroundings, that 20 millikelvin really helps, especially in rougher weather like fog and rain, that kind of stuff. That 20 millikelvin sensor just helps get through that a little bit better. But again, most charts say 50 and below is better. This has got a 40. So again, it's sufficient for most applications. What's really cool inside this optic is you have gotten 5 color profiles that you could switch between. So you've got red hot, white hot, you've got a green, you've got like a rainbow type color, and then more of like a reddish situation going on. I'll have those on the screen. You've got 9 different reticle colors, and then you've got 10 different reticles. Now, just giving the nature of this optic, it being the 384 and the 40 millikelvin sensor, I'm not taking super far shots, so I like the really simplistic reticles in here. I'm running the triangle, but the dot looks really good, as well as like the EOTech style reticle. I just really like that triangle because I'm not taking far shots with this, excuse me, with this thermal. But if that's what you want to do, you can run one of like the mill style reticles. It is a 2:16 unit, so if you do need to see a little bit further, you can zoom in on this optic. Again, 2:16. Most of the time I'm running it on 2 power. This is close in, regardless of what setup it's on. You know, this is on a 22 right now, and we'll go over this after we cover the optic. But again, I'm using it for close in shots. I think it does very well at that. Also, I'm in South Carolina, in the southeast, so everything's pretty dense, and the vegetation doesn't really allow you to see too far. So 100 yards, it's not a problem, especially if you know what you're actually going for, and you know you're not really needing to identify the exact target. The controls on this optic are very, very simple. You've got just a little control pad up top, so you've got a power button with 4 arrows around it. That power button obviously powers on and off. Quick tap, that brings up the menu. Use the 4 different arrows to navigate the menu. You can quick press on the right arrow, and that's going to start and stop your recording or your photo. A long press on the left arrow is going to cycle through your color palettes, and then a long press on the top is going to allow you to adjust the brightness inside the optic. The overall unit is pretty small, and the footprint itself is about the size of like an ACOG. One thing Eric at Barrel and Hatchet said was that he thinks it's a very ugly optic. That's one of the things that I disagree with him on, is it being an ugly optic. I think it's actually a pretty good looking optic. It looks very, you know, prism like. I don't have any problems with that, but as he said, you know, if you're one to care about that kind of stuff. Now, if we switch the rifle around to this side here, you can see the battery compartment. So it is powered by CR123 batteries. It is powered by 2 of them. There's drop in there. These are very common batteries. You're probably running them in your weapon lights and some of your other accessories. So I do appreciate it being a common battery. It's easy to keep a lot of these on you and to keep this optic running. I've not had an issue with the battery life on them, but I have not ran this optic a ton. But again, common batteries as you can buy at your local Dollar General. Keep in a bag and keep those on you. Change batteries. You can run this thing all night long. I do think they make a battery pack, like an external battery pack option, but I don't have that with me. But that is an option. Plug it in there, mount it onto your rifle, and that gives you a prolonged battery. Now, talking about the practicality of this optic, as I said, going over the specs, 384 and a 40 millikelvin sensor. It's not super detailed. So again, if you need to identify your target, so if you're hunting in a cattle pasture for pigs, I wouldn't take it too far of a shot, because trying to decipher between a big boar and a cow, I don't know that you're going to have the best of luck. A coyote versus a neighbor's dog, that kind of stuff. But there's videos of Ukrainians using these in combat. So in a situation like that, you know that the target is, you know who the target is. You're not really having to identify the exact target, and it works for that. Close in, that kind of stuff, as a fighting optic, you know, where chances are anybody that you see through this is a threat, it's going to do just fine. If you're taking close in shots, it's going to do just fine. It's pretty limited when you talk about stretching it out. One thing that I do appreciate with this optic is the price point. It's very reasonable, and one way that I believe they're able to do that is by stripping off some of the features that most people don't use, like the laser rangefinder. I'm typically shooting close ranges. I don't need a laser rangefinder on my thermal. ballistic calculator, I don't need that. You can plug in 5 different weapons profiles in here. So if you're shooting multiple rifles and you want to bounce this thing around, you can do that. You can name them. Or if you're shooting different loads out of the same rifle, you can plug in those profiles, switch between them, say supers and subs. Very practical thing there. Again, with those five weapons profiles or bullet profiles that is built into here, you can adjust. Talking about user experience, it's been pretty doggone good. I like the form factor of it. It's small, it's lightweight. One thing that is really awesome on this thing is the focus. It has got this throw lever up here on the top. And so the big thing with thermals is getting it in focus. As long as you can get it in focus, you know, you're going to pick up good clarity, and I'm going to show that here in just a little bit. We're going to take some shots and look at different targets. We're out here in the daytime, so it'll give you a good example of, you know, what you can expect to see in the daytime, and whatever you're seeing in the daytime is going to be amplified at night when it comes to the temperatures, because everything's obviously going to cool off, so anything holding heat is going to be very, very obvious, as you see in some of the B-roll over top of this video. All of this was taken at night after everything had a chance to cool way off. But this throw lever makes it very, very easy to get a good focus, especially when going from like a close-up shot to a far shot. It makes it really easy to be able to use that throw lever to get the target in focus, and we'll display that here in just a little bit. As I'm shooting, I will overlay the thermal footage so that you can watch what I'm doing and you can see it focusing in and out on different targets. So with that being said, let's go ahead and load up a couple of these magazines and we'll start shooting. Talking about this setup real quick, I've done a video on this, and this is actually my very first video that done like really well. I broke 100,000 views. I'll have that linked up in the top. It is an M&P 1522. So it's 22 long rifle, AR pattern rifle, as you can see here. Just running over, I've got a Magpul MOE stock, die-free co-grip, Williams gun sights. These are HK style flip-up sights, metal. I've got an Arca rail across the bottom, Enforce WMLX Gen 3 on top. Obviously the Wraith thermal, I've got a full-length Arca rail on it. And then this right here is not a suppressor. It is in fact a barrel shroud. So this barrel is still 16 inches, as you can see there. And this just slides over top of it to give it a suppressed look. But again, it's not a suppressor in any way, shape, or form. It actually doesn't have any benefits other than it looks really cool. But it is from Gunfighter Gear. It is the 6-inch or 6.5-inch version of it, and I've just got it wrapped in some hockey tape. That, again, it's just aesthetic reasons. Let's throw it in the 2-vetch tripods. It's very much so overkill for a lot of people when talking about 22 to have a thermal on it that costs a lot more than the rifle itself, and a tripod that again costs a lot more than the rifle itself. But let's go to in recording mode. So let's click there, drop down. Okay. All right, we are in fact recording. I need to make sure I put my eyes on. I do have ears. I'm using some in-ears from Earmore, and they are fantastic. They Bluetooth and all that kind of stuff. All right, so I am recording. Now, as you can see, using this focus lever, we can focus on different targets. Again, it just makes it fantastic. So if I want to take some close-up shots here on this TA targets, this is one of their cardboard targets, you know, then transition a little bit further to the steel, and then even out there at distance, I can do that. Zoom in a little bit if I need to fine-tune that focus. As you can see with that 384 resolution, you get a little bit of pixels when you start looking. So that is a C-zone piece of steel, just for reference. It is at about 80 yards from where we are currently. But again, taking close-up shots, you know, it's not a problem. Those all went in the same hole. Stretch it out a little bit further. A little bit further. And then, you know, if we want to go out there to about 80 yards, let's see, we got a little bit of wind. There it is. Gotta hold straight up on it. Obviously it's 22, so it's dropping quite a bit. All right, we got a good idea of it now. Well, I spoke too soon. All right, let's move over, and we got another piece of steel right there about 80 yards. That's a popper. It's a little bit easier to see. I ain't hitting squat. All right, we're a little bit left, I think. Yeah. I hear those hitting. Yes, that wind's pushing it just a little bit. All right, let me load up both mags. We'll do a little bit more shooting, and I'll go set some hot water bottles out there, and we'll shoot a little bit more, and then we'll close out the video. All right, we got a couple of water bottles set up. I got 4 real close. I got one at about 30 yards, one at 50 yards, and then one at 75 yards. If you do have a thermal and you're looking for cheap targets that are fun to shoot, just take some water bottles and fill them up with hot water, and it works pretty doggone well. All right, so we're recording. All right, so just so you can see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then put through our focus, we got one right there, one right there, and then one up on top of the wood stack. Take out these close ones first. Throw a little bit further. There it is, it's leaking. All right. Got him. All right, a little bit further. Changing mags. Come on, I can't let that one survive. I gotta get him too. I think he might survive. I'm throwing little casings all over my car. All right, come on, bud. Let's take you out. Oh man. Well, that little water bottle looks like he's gonna live on to see another day. All right guys, so now that y'all have watched the video, let me know what you think of the Sightmark Wraith thermal down in the comments below. I think that's all I have for you. I appreciate you watching. I'll catch you on the next day.